Kill Complacency, a podcast that inspires growth and intentionality and helps you overcome your greatest obstacles.
Kind of going back to the entrepreneur spirit in you, at what point, at what point, because I know your family, I know your parents, at what point, was there ever a point in your life where you thought you'd be an entrepreneur versus working a job forever? At what point did you realize you were more free-spirited about things? You weren't going to go to college and all that good stuff.
I don't think it was until I was probably 16. Both my parents had gone to college, and I didn't know that that was an option to not go to college. And so when I found that out, I was about 15 or 16, I was so relieved because I didn't appreciate school very much.
Okay.
And so as soon as I heard that wasn't an option, the whole world opened up to me. And I've been taking on these other repair jobs for my dad. So I was slowly learning that process. And so it was almost a no-brainer. From doing school, it just flowed right into starting the handyman business.
I see. So you just rolled right into it. Do you see yourself being an entrepreneur the rest of your life? Or do you think you'll get a job at Walmart and stock shelves or something?
That's a good question.
There's some securities in it, right?
Yeah. Right. If anything, I find enjoyment in some of the processes, like working at the cafe for a couple years. That was all volunteer work, but it was some people do that and don't get paid very much.
Sure.
But I found an enjoyment in the process and in creating something for people. So I don't know if I'll always be an entrepreneur, but I have that option.
Sure.
Because I do find enjoyment in working for other people. They're doing. I have my own ideas, but then I also like helping other people with theirs.
Sure. When I was young, my parents taught me to shear sheep, my dad, and he always called it fast cash. Because you could go do a job and get paid that day. And it was a way to just instantly create that. And that can be real addicting. Not having to wait a week or 2 weeks. The first W-2 I had was, you get paid once a month.
Man.
And you learn to budget and you learn to make it last, because on the 31st or the 1st, that's when you get your paycheck. One more entrepreneur question. If I were to give you $1,000 right now and tell you to go start something new, what would you do with $1,000? Or if I just gave you $1,000 and told you to go multiply it?
I'd probably put it in something boring, like I'd put it in a CD or something because the rates are good now, or in some mutual fund. I don't particularly trust myself with, I have all these ideas right now, like cafe or something with books. For $1,000, you could get
what if I gave you 10 grand?
You could do a lot with 10 grand. Okay, let's keep it to 1,000. If I had 1,000, I could get a whole handyman setup. I could get a bunch of saws, drills, equipment, enough to make that $40,000 in 6 months.
Would you ever just hand those tools off to somebody and say, go make money, you're the next handyman? Or is it all DIY, Noah, Harold? Would you hire an employee? Would you buy the tools and tell Joseph, hey, I've got these jobs lined up?
I've hired him in the past, just when I needed help on a job, but actually hiring someone full-time.
Because I watched your dad do that. I watched your dad grow his paint business when he was a one-man show. Hire a guy. And it's scary to hire, but you know you need it if you get enough work.
Right. Yeah, you had to go through it yourself. Now you got a bunch of guys. I don't know do you know how many guys you have?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm glad you got to see that. Tell me about the most interesting person you've met in the last 4 years of travel.
That's a tough one, because there's a lot of weird people, different people.
Sure. Just tell me a story about one of them.
There's this one woman in Pakistan, her name's Samina, and she was in this village, like pretty tough village. Her brother found out she was becoming a Christian and beat her almost to death. So she barely survived that. And then from that, she picked herself up. I think she got out and took her family, her other sister, and they had some kids as well. And she started over and was from her house with, I think, like 2 sewing machines. She taught like 10 other women how to sew and how to keep them out of some of those traumatic situations. So she herself, coming from abuse and from nearly being killed, instead of letting that keep her down or oppressed, she used that to help others.
Sure.
So just seeing that self-giving spirit in somebody who, in a crazy country like Pakistan, just giving their whole life almost. So we came in contact with her, bought her some more sewing machines, and now she's teaching 50 girls every day. Her whole floor is covered with, there's not even space to walk. So she's taking whatever she gets. In this case, it was $50 a month and a couple sewing machines, and she's changing the lives of a bunch of other people. So that's really inspiring.
That's cool. Yeah. Do they have an end product, a way to sell their stuff?
She does sewing. She teaches them henna and sewing as well. They make dresses and things for weddings. They're big into wedding events there.
That's cool. What are some habits or mindset you think you picked up while traveling that you still practice? Or do you think you picked stuff up before then? Like, what are some hacks? What's some life lessons you've learned in the last few years?
I think most of them would probably be, aside from hacks about traveling, there'd be things of a more relational nature, just interacting with so many people, seeing that, just how different cultures operate with each other, with other people. So that's been really huge for me. I feel like that's when I really started to grow and want to learn more, was when I was traveling and seeing these places and seeing these people. Because one thing, reading about the Acropolis and reading about Paul in the Bible in your history lesson, but then there's another thing to be standing there at the Acropolis, in Athens, and you get to see the ruins and be a part of it essentially. That just changes makes you want to, at least for me, it made me want to learn more and remember the things I'd learned. Because at that point, when I was young, it was just a requirement. There was no...
Yeah, check it off the box. Make mom happy.
Right, yeah, you gotta make mom happy. Well, then you get out and you see that your parents are probably right, that you should know this stuff, and it does help you, and you should be nice to people. Yeah, it's really... I think I have a more of a gray perspective now, because I came from really conservative. I knew what I believed, and then going out there and having that challenged a lot. Now I've had to take all those things and hold them up to light and discover them for myself. And that's something that wouldn't have happened in my mind if I hadn't gotten out from my hometown, from my people, and interact with other people who believe different things. I know that was tough, because there's different ways you can go with that.
Sure, people go off to college for 4 years and honestly get the college experience. I have college kids, so I hear parents say that. It's good to go to college because they can experience college life. But they spend a lot of money learning some of these things. I mean, you're talking about testing it, looking at the light, deciding if the worldview you've been taught is legit. And so that sounds like that's kind of a life lesson you learned, is be more relational. Mom and dad are right. There's a great need in the world. If your life so far was a book, what would the title be? Change or Die. Why?
It's been pretty much nonstop for the last 4 years, always change. I love sleeping on the floor now just because I've done it so much. I feel comfortable there. But there's just been so much change that it's become, I'm used to it. I'm able to roll with pretty much anything. I'm not always at the best attitude, but if I wasn't able to change her day, I wouldn't put myself in this situation. But
Tell me this. I find this interesting because while you were here, you read Who Moved My Cheese, which is about change. What's your take on that book?
A great book to read if you have problems with changing. I didn't particularly identify with the characters who had problems with that. Maybe I should. Nice talking to you about that, because you saw all the characters in yourself.
At different times with different things. Like, there's some things I really hang on to that, one that I've changed in the last few years is food. I used to eat pretty boring. I wanted the American food. But now I'll eat asparagus or cucumbers because I just didn't like those things. I would say I didn't like them, but honestly, I didn't give them a chance.
Interesting.
But I was very much, I can't remember his name in that book, but the guy that wanted to stay in Cheese Station C, him or Haw, and have everything handed to him.
That's a more subtle thing too, because you wouldn't think food is that big of a deal.
The sequel to the book, which I just gave you, he's going to try an apple for the first time.
Ooh.
And because his only diet has been cheese. And he realizes apples are good too. But I think that's change or die. We don't realize a lot of times we're slowly dying when we don't change. I think.
I would agree with that. You're limiting yourself. And like in the book, the cheese ran out, but the one stuck around because it's too scary to go out.
Mm-hmm. Try something new. That's good. I want to talk now, Noah, a little bit about running.
All right.
Because we kind of rekindled this relationship. Well, I rekindled it with your folks when I went up to Missoula to run to the Missoula Marathon a year ago. But then we both recently competed in the Spartan up in Bozeman. And your weather was much worse and your conditions were much more slippery, but you had a pretty good time there. I mean, we were watching, we were impressed that you did your obstacles and your 10K in that time. But what inspired, and I know you ran before that, but what inspired, and I want to add, I mean, you just kicked my butt in dark and dirty. You won that. But what's inspired you to get going on running?
Okay, a lot of things go back to my mom. My mom was great. I was 16 before I could graduate, called it PE.
Okay.
And she said, get out and run. And she printed off a plan for like 12 weeks, couch to half marathon. And she booked us up for one in Las Vegas. We're going down there, we're gonna run this thing, we're gonna go see grandma. So me and Constance would look at the plan and...
Constance did it too?
Yeah, she did too. And we were running together. I would always speed ahead of her because couldn't wait around. But that was the first one. That got me into it. And this was one of those things like school or like piano.
Yeah.
I just did not appreciate it in the moment. It was terrible, suffering. Again, it probably built my character.
Sure.
But at the moment, it was the worst thing.
So you did the half.
I did the half.
When you were 16.
Right.
Checking off the box, make mom happy.
Mom was happy.
And then you circle back to it. Was it last year when you did, was it Zion? Where'd you go?
It was this year.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah, in March. So mom does have some good ideas. So she texted me, I was in Kosovo at the time, and she said, do you want to sign up for a half marathon? We're going to be down in Zion. You don't have to. I said, why not? So I said, sign me up. And so started training, running in the city a little bit. And then I went back to Montana right after that. So I was running with all of them. My brother and my sister and my mom all were doing that. So we'd run together. It was pretty good. So that's kind of what got me back into it. And I started feeling better. It gave me something to do in the winter because I wasn't working so much at the time. So it would get me out of the house to go running. And it was cold and snowy, so it posed its own difficulties, but
yeah,
it was good. I felt better physically as well. And that's something I was going to the gym before, and I have to be active. And so if I'm not working a construction job,
you got to blow some energy.
Right. Running is a good outlet for that. And then hit Zion, went off to Kosovo, and I was just running all these places I went. So I was in Paris. I'd go run, do a 4-mile run in Paris. And the cool thing is a lot of these places have huge running communities. In Paris, I passed like 200 runners and a couple hundred bikers. Like the streets were filled with these people. But I did a PR following this random old guy on the street. So just as a neat thing, getting places, and you could see a lot more of the city just running around. And then some other friends were like, hey, we're doing a half marathon here. So I signed up for that. Then the Spartan race happened. And
then you signed up for the marathon.
My mom had planned that for months, and I was going up to pick up the packet. And one of her friends got sick, so she couldn't do it. And I said, what if I bought the ticket? So we texted her on the drive up. She said, you can have it. So I ran as a woman.
Okay.
I got 6th in the women's age division. So
wow.
That's my crowning glory there.
She was happy, huh? Or maybe she was better than you.
I don't know, actually. Maybe she wasn't. So that was rather impulsive. But I felt really good on that.
You were sub 4 hours.
And then,
In the meantime, we've kind of rekindled our relationship. And so you said, hey, I want to come down and see you guys. What do you guys got? So we did one last weekend called Dark and Dirty. And
it was dark and dirty. As we're driving, we're going 45, 50 miles an hour because you can't even see out the window. It was raining a bunch. We get there, it's fine. As soon as we hit the first lap, I think it's 5 laps, 3.4 each, it started downpouring. And I wear glasses, and glasses aren't great for running. I couldn't see, and it was getting dark because it started at 7 p.m. and it just got super dark. And you've had a worse experience than me. Your light stopped working partway through.
Crossing rivers, rocks, roots, mud. It was hard. So how has running influenced the way you think about consistency, discomfort, and growth? Because I know at the end of that, like that was a hard race. Decent elevation, hard terrain. I mean, it's pretty technical. You throw into that 2 or 3 inches of rain, and then you throw into it running at night. And
a lot of factors there.
How do you think that has influenced who you are, doing these difficult things like that? Because at the end of it, you're smiling, you're laughing. And I know it's because you won and beat me. But
as hell. First off, I think it does point out where I need to grow, because if I don't train as much as I should, I feel that on race day. So it points out that I need more consistency in my life, and I need to actually take these things seriously before I show up at the race. Because then it does affect, doing the marathon, I got sub 4, but I could have done, your first one was
3:33.
3:30, yeah. So you shaved off 30 minutes because you actually trained. That's what it points out to me. But I do find great value in the community there, because you have a bunch of people who have put in the work, enjoy suffering to some level, because they're paid to run. They're just finding these like-minded people, and it is fun. Even with the struggle, I don't know why I keep doing it. Like when I start, I just have all these regrets that flow in because it is really painful and I can't breathe and all this stuff. But once you finish, it just,
You're so
it's all
happy you
worth
did
it.
that hard thing, right? Okay, I want to talk real quick about reading. I know you love to read. In fact, when I talked to you, I said, what's your ideal week look like? And you said 2 days of construction, 2 days in a coffee shop, and 2 days to read. So talk to me about how has reading shaped you to think and live more intentionally?
I feel like it slows you down a bit, because the act of reading itself is more or less counterculture nowadays, because instead of having your phone with all the lights and the thing, it's kind of boring because you're just looking at a page. So you have to find the meaning in it, pull the meaning from the words. So first off, it takes intentional time to read that. And even listening, because half the books I read are on audiobooks. So when I'm at work, I can be listening to things. And it is a struggle sometimes because you have this music, which is more of a fun thing to do. It just keeps you more entertained than having to engage your mind all the time. But I feel like that whole, when I started traveling was when I started reading as well. As once I got out of the house, I realized the value in these things that mom made me do. I didn't like it at the time. I'd read a lot with the classical education, but it wasn't until afterwards that, I need to be doing this in my life. I feel I'm more into stories and novels because I personally engage with that more than dissertation or something, because they put these ideas into a story and I can engage with the characters. My goal for this year is 80 books. The last couple of years I've done 50 to almost 70. So I'm almost running out of, it's a good thing I'm with you now. You've been giving me some good book recommendations.
You need some recommendations?
I'm running out.
It's good. Tell me this, if you could teach a high school class right now, what's something you've learned? What would you teach about? You got 1 hour to teach. What would you teach about and why?
It would probably be about living an intentional life, understanding why you do things. So not just going through life, but living with a purpose. And you don't need I personally don't always have the biggest purpose, or I'm questioning what I
Sure.
should be doing, but have the thinking through where you're at and where you want to be and applying those things. I do goals at the beginning of the year. So like, okay, I value reading. I think it adds to my life. I value some level of physical health. And then,
Is your whole family big on goals?
yeah, well, no, not all of us. Mom makes us write down goals.
Okay. Does your dad do goals?
Yeah, she makes them as well.
Okay.
Whether we do them or not, that's another matter.
I'm going to give your mom some good goal books.
She'd appreciate that.
Yeah, but you guys won't. I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives, to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there.
No.